Hello guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be talking about Matt Duchene and him getting traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now this is an absolutely amazing trade and a big one. Matt Duchene getting sent to Columbus. So what are the trade details and which team won this trade? Watch till the end to find out. Now, one of the biggest players surrounding this NHL trade deadline was Matt Duchene and what he was going to look like with the Ottawa Senators and what the situation was there. But one of the biggest guys on the market is now taken down by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus going out and gaining a big guy like Matt Duchene is the big splash that they kind of needed. Now we're going to get straight into the trade details themselves, and we're going to start out with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the players they get back are Matt Duchene, obviously, and another player is Julius Bergman, who was with the Ottawa Senators, was traded, I think, in the Mike Hoffman deal. He is an okay defenseman. He might be a bottom six or a top six guy for them in the future if Ottawa's defense is that bad. Currently, he has 33 games played in the AHL with Belleville Senators, having 6 assists, so he's not anything too special, but a decent piece. Now for the assets going back to the Ottawa Senators, you have Wylie Abramov, Jonathan Davidsson, a 2019 first-round pick, and a conditional 2020 first-round pick. Now, when it comes to the conditions on these trades and with the picks, that is the big thing with this trade, I feel. It could go a lot of different ways, but Ottawa's haul here really depends on what Columbus does with Matt Duchene. Now, for the 2019 first-round pick, that 2019 first-round pick, which is Columbus's, is lottery protected. So if Columbus were to miss the playoffs, Columbus would still get that first round pick back, which is very crucial, especially if they somehow end up missing the playoffs. Now, when it comes to that 2020 first-round pick, that also has a pretty big condition. Now, if the Columbus Blue Jackets were to re-sign Matt Duchene after this season, Matt Duchene being a UFA after this season, if Columbus were to re-sign him, that would mean that Ottawa gets their 2020 first-round pick, which is a big thing to note. And for me personally, Matt Duchene has a pretty strong chance of signing in Columbus, especially if they go on a deep run. But that is a big, crucial thing for Ottawa. Getting that extra first-round pick could be big for their franchise. Now, when it comes to the two prospects that Ottawa gets back in this trade, I'm actually a pretty big fan of both, especially Wylie Abramov, who has been one of my favorite prospects in the last couple of years. He's been pretty underrated. He is pretty young. I think he's at like age 21 or something. Right now in the AHL, he's played 52 games, getting 12 goals, 10 assists for 22 points. Nothing too special, but I think he can develop into a possible top 6 forward, I feel. And you also got Jonathan Davidsson, who has been amazing in the SHL this season, playing 35 games, getting 10 goals, 10 assists for a solid 20 points. Now, those prospects aren't going to be absolutely amazing for the Ottawa Senators. Both of those guys will likely be top 6 guys for the future, but not first-line guys. But even then, that is a pretty decent haul, especially if Columbus were to re-sign Matt Duchene, which I think right now there is a pretty strong chance of that happening. Now, this trade really does signify what Panarin and Bobrovsky are going to look like and what Columbus is going to do. Because getting a guy like Matt Duchene, as I said in a video a couple of days past, when it comes to Columbus getting a guy like Matt Duchene, I think it really does mean and signify that they are going hard on this season and are banking on the team to get far in the playoffs and to also maybe win the Stanley Cup. And while before this trade, I think there was a pretty decent chance that Columbus might trade at least one guy of Panarin or Bobrovsky, but right now it's looking like those guys will stay, at least for the time being. Columbus might not get anything back for those guys, but it looks like right now they'll be going for that playoff run. They'll be going for as far as they could possibly get, and getting a guy like Matt Duchene, who could be the first-line center for them for quite a while, is a pretty decent option and was a pretty decent fit for them. With Columbus, we've seen them go after some other centers like Kevin Hayes and some other guys in the market, but a guy like Matt Duchene fits quite perfectly right now. Now, currently, Matt Duchene has played 50 games with the Ottawa Senators. He's at 27 goals, 31 assists for 58 points, and those points are absolutely amazing. Let's just say for that first line, you put Panarin, Duchene, and Atkinson. That is absolutely lethal, and getting a guy like Matt Duchene, who is the bona fide #1 there, could really help their team. Now, I'm a big fan of Pierre-Luc Dubois, but I'm not sure if he's the #1 center quite yet, but a guy like Duchene to fill in that stopgap, and even if he is just a rental, he's a pretty solid rental at that for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But let's just say for a second that Duchene is just a rental for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Even then, I feel like what they had to give up was pretty leisurely. I mean, that was about what we expected. I mean, we really expected one great prospect, a first-round pick, maybe even a roster player, but this isn't really too far out. It's Ottawa going for some more youth, going for some more plentiful assets, going for 2 prospects instead of one great one. And with Columbus, as I said before, they don't have an amazing prospect pool, so going for quantity when it comes to Columbus Columbus' prospect pool, I think is the good idea there. When it came to Matt Duchene, I was almost certain that 1, he would get traded, and 2, at least a first-round pick would go back. With the Ottawa Senators, obviously in the Kyle Turris deal that sent Matt Duchene to the Ottawa Senators, they ended up giving out their first-round pick, who might be the #1 pick for the Colorado Avalanche this season. So they want to get a first-round pick to maybe salvage just a little bit there. And Columbus is probably not going to be the best regular season team, so it's probably going to be in the early 20s, I would say, when it comes to that pick, at least, unless Columbus goes to the Stanley Cup final or something. But that pick should be still pretty decent, and they could definitely use that, especially if Duchene does re-sign in Columbus. You get that extra first-round pick and that extra great prospect. And for Columbus, if you're going to go hard on any year for them, you might as well bank on the team right now. While Bobrovsky hasn't been playing all that great, he could still be fantastic in the playoffs and could lead them to a possible playoff run. And for Columbus, they got guys like Panarin. Again, he's been rumored to go out. But if you're going to go for one more year, if Columbus wants to go for one more competitive year to really be a cup contender, get a guy like Matt Duchene, adding him to that team, and if you keep Panarin or Bobrovsky, that team could be really, really sneaky and could get past a few rounds in the playoffs. And let's just look at Columbus' center core now with Matt Duchene. I mean, you got Matt Duchene, obviously, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alexander Wennberg, and then maybe Brandon Dubinsky as the fourth-line center when he's healthy. That is a pretty solid top 4, or at least top 4 centers for that team. And adding a guy like Matt Duchene is the perfect fit for them right now. And they didn't have to give up too much to get it. But for the Ottawa Senators, I feel like they got a decent haul at the same time. Haul that they can definitely use, and some forward prospects that they kind of need right now. But of course, this is the part of the video where I decide which team won this trade, the Ottawa Senators or the Columbus Blue Jackets. And for me personally, this all depends on if Matt Duchene re-signs in Columbus. But if I had to take a bet right now, I would say that Matt Duchene would re-sign in Columbus. Maybe Columbus sheds a guy like Panarin or maybe even a Bobrovsky, and they are able to re-sign Matt Duchene. I feel like that's a pretty decent pretty decent chance of that actually happening. I think this all depends on if Matt Duchene actually re-signs. Of course, Ottawa would get that 2020 first-round pick, but I think Duchene will re-sign, and I feel like at that point, Columbus will win this trade. Even though Ottawa does get that first-round pick, if he were to re-sign, I feel like Duchene will add a lot of value to the Columbus Blue Jackets and value at center position that they didn't have before, and having him to a long-term contract, barring it being a terrible contract. If it's a decent one, I feel like the Columbus Blue Jackets would win this trade. They didn't have to give up too much. First-round picks that they weren't going to really use too much anyways. Prospects that were likely not going to play for at least the next couple of years, and that is a pretty decent stuff for Columbus, and that is a pretty big win for them. And getting a guy like Matt Duchene now who can seriously help them for the second half and into the playoffs is a big win for them. But that's not to say Ottawa got fleeced in this deal. I think guys like Vitaly Abramov will be very solid players for them, but I just don't feel like they got that superstar prospect that they would have gotten if they traded Duchene to maybe a Winnipeg, or if they traded Duchene to Nashville. But they do get the quantity when it comes to this deal, and especially if Duchene ends up re-signing, they get that extra first-round pick, which will be great for them. But again, a big name off the board when it comes to the big guys available this trade deadline. Matt Duchene was arguably a top 3 guy when it comes to the available forwards. But a guy like Mark Stone now is on Ottawa. The time is ticking for Ottawa to make a decision on him, whether it's re-signing or trading. But the trade deadline is just heating up, and this Matt Duchene deal signifies the start of it. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about this Matt Duchene deal? Matt Duchene going to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let me know what you think about the pieces involved in this trade, and of course the question of the day. Let me know which team won this trade, the Ottawa Senators or the Columbus Blue Jackets. But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you can click on this card right here and watch my video about 5 potential destinations for Mark Stone to get traded to. But that is going for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Get a comment down below your thoughts on this trade and which team won. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.